All right, our next assignment is very easy. I'm carrying on right where I left off the last video, literally 1 second later. We're going to open this empty scene up, and we're going to start decorating this empty scene. Now it's empty. You can see there's nothing here except for a directional light and the main camera. These things exist in all scenes. The camera is where we're going to see from if we play our game. We're going to start adding stuff to this scene. I'm going to right-click the hierarchy. There's some menus here that I could use to add objects. The first object we're going to use is the plane. Something that's going to be on a test that you guys are going to have to take is that this plane is almost exactly the same as this other 3D object that I never use called the quad. The main difference is that the quad is less complex. The quad is only made up of 2 polygons. The plane is made up of many, many, many polygons. I'm going to set both of these to the origin, which is 0, 0, 0, just so they're closer together so I could look at them more easily. I'm going to press F to focus in on this. I'm going to move it out of the way so I can see that quad again. And something else that's going to be on this test at the end of this semester, at the end of this unit, I mean, is that you can only see quads and planes from one side. If you look at them from the back, they're invisible. They're also somewhat two-dimensional. You can't really see them from the sides either. So that's something to note for the quad and the planes. The quad is made up of 2 polygons. Maybe if I view the mesh collider, we could actually view that. It's 2 triangles. This plane is made up of many, many, many triangles. It's a more complex shape. Nope, it looks like it's only made out of 2 here. Well, that's something I'm supposed to teach you, so we're going to stick with it. It is on the curriculum. Alrighty, so I'm going to delete this. We're going to work on the plane. This is kind of going to be the ground for this level we're going to make. And we're going to play around with some physics objects. I'm going to start by going to materials, and I'm just going to add green grid to my ground. This will be like grass. Actually, that kind of hurts my eyes. I don't like that color. I'm going to add this pavement. Yeah, that's better. So I added this pavement material just by clicking it from materials and dragging it on top of my plane. These materials are going to be how we color things, how we make them look cool. I'm going to right-click the hierarchy, and I'm going to add a cube to my scene. I'm going to also set this cube to 0, 0, 0, just so I could work with it better. And this is going to be our first little object we play with. I'm going to create a new material for it, so I'll click in Materials folder. I'll right-click. I'm going to click Create, and I'm going to click Materials. Now, I know I move a little fast through things sometimes. This is a video. You guys could pause. You guys could rewatch. You guys could slow it down with the YouTube tools. Do what you need to do to figure out how to get this stuff to work. Now, my new material, I need to edit it so that we change the color, but for some reason it's not loading correctly. So I'm going to hit Create. I'm going to hit Material. I should get a... That is the code editor. I don't want the code editor. I want to edit the color and the metallic. Oh, I know. I think I need to go into its... If I open up this new material, it should have components that I can edit. The surface inputs components. Why is it missing? Okay, I'm going to do it a slightly different way because this is not working for me for some reason. Instead of making a new material, I'm going to just copy this one. I'm going to hit Control-C to copy this material and Control-V to paste in a new copy. And then I'll change the color from there. I don't know why my material wasn't working, but I'm going to do this in one take. I don't have time to film this a dozen times. And now with this material, I can change its color. There's some base properties, so maybe I can make this cube very metallic, and I'll make it pretty smooth. And I'll use this as the color for my cube. And I'm just looking at my settings really quickly to see why some things look a little funky. Here's the wireframe. This is what I was looking for before, by the way, with the plane, is that if I drag in a 3D object, if I drag in this quad, this, which is not at the origin for some reason, 0, 0, 0, this quad, if we view its wireframe, I'm pressing F to focus on it. I'm orbiting around it. I'm orbiting around it very poorly. It only has 2 polygons that it's made up of. This plane is made up of lots. Okay, but anyway, this is our first scene. I'm going to press play, and we're going to view the game camera, which is this main camera in the scene. So when I press play, we're going to view it from this angle, and the physics is going to start. But at this point in time, physics is not working on this block. The reason physics is not working on this block is because it's missing an essential component. I'm going to click on the cube, and we have some components here. This mesh renderer component is what oh, I don't have a background. That's what's confusing me. I usually have a background in these scenes. This mesh renderer component is what lets us see the block. A mesh is what's visible to the block. The collider is what's going to physically touch other things with the block. But we need to add one more component called the rigid body. The rigid body is what physics is going to be enacted on. So this block now has physics. Use gravity is checked on. So when we press play, we'll see this block falling down. The block falls down. Oh, but it didn't collide with the plane. I wonder why. It should have a collider on. This plane should have a collider. The collider is not checked, so the collider was not active. Now it has a collider. Now if I press play, it should collide with this plane. So colliders are what let 2 objects touch each other. The mesh is what lets us see the objects. And the rigid body is what physics is enacted on. So that is our first little cube. It fell down. It collided with that plane. Your assignment for today is to not take one of these cubes, but take a few, copy, paste, 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 and you can move them up. You can rotate them. I copy pasted just by hitting Control-C and Control-V. We can rotate these cubes. We can move them to different places. And you guys are to make a little pile of cubes for me. Don't take too long with it. And use this move tool by clicking on them and dragging them to different places. And use this rotate tool to rotate them to different angles. Once we do that, they'll fall in a slightly more interesting way. And if you want to see something fun, you can put 2 cubes inside of each other, and you'll get a very common error. I'm pressing F to focus. I'm holding Alt and clicking to rotate. If you put 2 cubes inside of each other, you get a very common error called a clipping error, and they'll probably go flying. Let's watch what these cubes are going to do. We have a couple inside of each other. We have a few falling down at weird angles. It was a very light effect on the clipping error. They just bounced apart very quickly. But that is your second assignment. Once you do that, you could just use the snipping tool. You could just take a screenshot of your pile of blocks in the scene. Let's include in your screenshot that your block has a rigid body and is selected in the hierarchy, so I can see that you added a rigid body to your block. This is a bad screenshot. I can't see my blocks. I'm going to hit New. I'm going to screenshot all of this. I'm going to hit Save As, and I'm going to add this file to my Schoology assignment for today. That is your second assignment with Unity. Hopefully it's not too hard. Good luck, and if you need any help, let me know.